Hi guys, it's Nancy, and today I want to go over some hot foiling mistakes or troubleshooting you're having with hot foiling, and talk about those. And I think this will be a fairly quick video, hopefully. I already did one on toner foiling, so if you have questions about toner foiling is using a mink machine or a laminator machine, and the foils you would use are toner foil from Crafty Critta, Blue Bonnet, textile or toner foil or laminator foil, deco foil. This is also another brand of deco foil. Textile foil from H&H, Pro World, Starcraft, the old Creative Vision stamp foil. Those are all toner foils. None of these will work in your hot foil machine. So the tip number one is make sure you are using the right foil for the right machine. I am sorry about my voice. I am going through a cold right now, but I wanted to get this video done for you guys. So tip number one is make sure you are using the right foil for your hot foil machine. Now, what are the hot foil machines we're talking about? The hot foil machines we're talking about are the Go Press and Foil machine, the Gemini foil press machine, which has been discontinued and only works in the Gemini Junior or the Gemini full size. So if you want to do hot foiling and you only have a Gemini Junior or Gemini full size, you need to buy one of these while you can. And if you have this machine and you don't already have an extra platform, these platforms do tend to warp, and after time the connections will go bad, and then it won't work. So if you already have this machine, I think it's a great machine. You should not get rid of it, but you should buy an extra platform for it. And if you think that you're not going to use your machine and you don't want it, contact me. Let me know. But I think if you have this machine, it's a great machine. You should definitely keep it. And finally, the Spellbinders Glimmer machine, okay, which you cannot buy any extra platforms as of this time of filming this video. So those are the three hot foiling machines we're talking about, and the one I'm showing you is the Go Press and Foil. Okay. And the reason I'm using my Go Press and Foil is because this is the machine I make most of my mistakes with, so I thought I would share that with you guys. Now, if you have the other two machines, a lot of these things will still apply, and I have a ton of videos using the other two machines. Check out my hot foil playlist, and make sure you're subscribed to my channel and click the bell so you get notifications anytime I do any videos. I do a ton with foiling. Okay, so mistake number one is to use the right machine. And we've turned this machine on. When you plug this in, this will be solid red. You press the power button and it will blink, and it will turn green when it is hot enough. When using any of these machines and you are getting started, make sure you leave the top lid on. They all have a top lid. Leave that lid on. That will help retain your heat. It's like cooking, right? When you have a lid on the pot, it boils faster. So for all three machines, my next tip is leave your lid on when it is heating up. Okay, so we're going to set that aside for a second. And if possible, put your hot foil plate on there while it's heating up, especially if it's a larger one. This is a brand new one from Simon Hurley and Spellbinder. So we're going to leave that on there. Okay, the foils that you can use. These are the good to go foils for hot foiling. These foils have a special special adhesive built into them. Because they have a special adhesive built into them, excuse me, these will work in hot foiling. The other foils will not work, okay? So, rule number one is know your foils and know what you're buying and what you're using. All right, so these are all the companies of hot foil that will work. The Gemini foil, which we're going to talk about in a second, they have two kinds. They have Papercraft and they have multi-surface. So we're going to talk about that in a little more detail in just a moment. Go Press and Foil, heat-activated foil. Glimmer has, the old style is a bluish teal color. The new style is white. It's exactly the same thing. Glimmer, it's Spellbinders Glimmer, same foil. Crafty Critta is specifically marked hot foil. And you want to keep your foil in the boxes or bags that they come in. You don't want your foil exposed to pet hair, dust, things like that. So keep your foils packaged nicely. And you don't want to confuse them. And then Blue Bonnet is another company I recommend. They are on Facebook. Blue Bonnet Foil. And then she marks some hot stamping. HS foil. If you have any foil quill foil, this is hot foil. And this company is in UK. It is called Toto Hot Foil. They also have their own hot foiling machine in the UK. It's a big, clunky, cumbersome thing. Okay, so if you have any of these foils, you are good to go. Now, you want to make sure, number one, you have the right machine. Number two, you want to make sure your machine is warmed up and ready to go. All right, now, when it comes to Gemini, you do not want to use this Papercraft foil in anything other than the Gemini. This foil transfers at a very low heat setting, which the Gemini has. The Glimmer and the Go Pressin foil do not. So if you have Papercraft foil, you only want to use that on low in the Gemini foil press machine. Do not use this foil in the Glimmer or the Go Pressin foil. It will not work. It will overfoil every time for you and you will get frustrated. Now, that being said, now that you know that the Gemini is being discontinued, you can use all the rest of these foils, but you have to change the setting of your machine. So, you can't just use low. You have to move your machine up in heat and pressure. So, you got to start out with low, 25, 30 seconds, go up in 10-second increments to 40, 50, 60 seconds, and then go to high, same thing, 20, 30, 40 seconds, okay? Now, when you start using these other foils in the Gemini foil press, and you're using it at medium and high heat, it will cause your platform to warp. So again, you want to get a backup platform. And I have links for my Amazon shop for you guys so you can get that backup platform. Always check out the Foiling Snobs Club, because when we see it go on sale, we let you guys know so you guys can get one before they're sold out. Okay, I'm going to move these out of the way and I'm going to demonstrate this for you real quick. So now my Go Pressin foil has turned green. Okay, and I'm going to show you how this Papercraft foil is going to work in here. Now, in terms of cutting your foil, I do like to keep a dedicated pair of scissors. You can also use, in fact, I just got a new one, a rotary trimmer if you want. The pretty side always touches the die. Remember, this side has an adhesive stuck on it, so we want the adhesive to stick to our paper. Okay? So, let me show you what's going to happen here. And I'm just using Nina Solar White on this. Regular Nina paper. Now, a couple of things. We're going to basically let this go for a minute. There's no timer or anything on this machine. You just have to let it go for a minute. You need to know what shims you need for your machine. Okay, so that's going to be tip number 3. Tip number 1 is know your foils. Tip number 2 is let it heat up. Tip number 3 is to know if you need any shims. Each of these machines is designed to work excuse me, with some kind of a die cutting system. So, the Gemini machine, Gemini Junior and Gemini full size, are designed to work with the foil press machine. Generally, they don't need any shims, and usually they're too tight, if anything. Okay? The Glimmer machine and the Go Pressin foil work in your manual die cutting machines or your Big Shot, Big Kick, Vagabond Switch, Vagabond or Switch, Platinum machines. I do not believe anything works in the Cuttlebug or in the Empress, the Anna Griffin Empress. So if you have the Cuttlebug or the Anna Griffin Empress, you may need to buy a new die cutting machine to do hot foiling. Okay, so I'm going to show you without any shims how this is going to work or not work in my Spellbinders Platinum machine. Now, generally, this should underfoil because I know for myself I have to use 2 shims in the machine, but I'm also using the Gemini Papercraft foil, which I know overfoils all the time. So, we'll see how this works. Now, another tip I'm going to give you is you're not going to learn foiling overnight. If you're the type of person that wants instant results, this ain't it, okay? This takes a lot of practice, a lot of experimenting to know what's going to work, because there's different papers, there's different foils, there's different hot foil stamps or dyes. So I'm going to run this through once, and I can tell that there's really not a lot of pressure, so I don't know if this is going to foil or not. You want to feel a little bit of resistance when you're foiling. And again, this foil transfers at a very low heat setting. And actually, that worked out just fine. Surprise, surprise. And I'm going to show you how to foil the negative, so save this too. Okay. Now, usually that would overfoil if I had put my 2 shims in, but because I used a lower transfer foil, lower heat, the Gemini Papercraft foil, it actually foiled just right, which is surprising for me. So we're going to put that back into the heater here. That's another tip, is to make sure you're always connected to this. If you leave your platform off and this starts to lose heat, the heat dissipates, you're going to lose your foiling ability. You want to keep your plate hot. Excuse me. All right, let's try that again. Let's use some gold glimmer foil. Oh, this one's not even open yet. Let's keep these little scrap pieces of foil for sentiments and things. Okay, now I've told you guys before that paper matters. Paper matters more in toner foiling than it is in hot foiling. And you don't have to dusty in hot foiling, because this foil has glue built into it, has adhesive built into it, so you don't need to do any dusty. You still don't want to add any dust to it. Like, please don't use your embossing powder on it. This is the same Nina Solar white paper, but it doesn't have to be super smooth paper like it does when we are toner foiling. Okay, hot foiling will stick to anything. Now, it may not be perfectly smooth, but you can foil on burlap, you can foil on wood, you can foil, I mean, it came with all of these samples to foil on. This is like chalk paper, this is wood. So, the smoothness of the paper really does not matter when it comes to hot foiling, because you can foil on all different types of materials. The difference is you have to have a higher heat, okay? So if they send you all of this stuff as part of their introductory package, that means it foils on all these things. So the smoothness of the paper doesn't necessarily matter as much as your heat and timing when it comes to hot foiling. Toner foiling, yes, it makes a big difference. Hot foiling, not so much so. So if you're not getting a good transfer on hot foil, I'm going to tell you add a shim and let it go hotter. Alright, so again, we have no shims. We're using same Nina. All I did here was change the foil to Spellbinder's Glimmer foil. Okay, and you can see that this is underfoiled. So let me bring in the original one. And I want you to look, really see in the middle here how it kind of looks patchy and light. Okay? And that's because the Glimmer foil works at a higher heat transfer than the Gemini foil. So how do I fix that? I can't raise the heat up on the machine. So what I need to do here is I need to add a shim. Okay? So we're going to do that again. And how do I know that? Practice, 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 you guys. Now, some foils, depending on the design, there's a lot of foils that have different, glitters added to them and patterns added to them. Some of those foils transfer sooner. Some of them transfer with more heat. Sometimes you got to put it through 2 cycles of heat and, roll it through your rollers twice. Okay, this is Go Pressin foil. It's called Iridescent Diamonds. Now for this one, I'm going to add 1 shim. This is a 110-pound scratch cardstock. And we're just going to give that a minute. You want to let it warm up for about a minute. When you're using the Glimmer, you have a little button to push on the Glimmer. It counts down for 1 minute. That's all that button does, is counts down to 1 minute for you. So we're going to give that a minute to warm up. Let me bring in some other... The other thing is to make sure you are actually using hot foil stamps. So, how do you know what a hot foil stamp is? So, let me show that to you. Hot foil stamps are flat. See how flat these are? Okay? These are not dies. You cannot cut out with these. These are specifically manufactured to press foil to make a design. Okay? Dies have a raised edge. So this raised edge will cut into your paper. Now, yes, you can hot foil with dies, but it's only going to foil that raised edge. That's it. So you want to look at when you get them, and I know Spellbinders makes them the same color, so sometimes it's hard to tell, but you really need to look at that design and look and see if there's a cutting edge. So again, this is flat. This is raised. So this one this one hot foils, this one cuts. And Spellbinders is cool because they usually give you both the die and the hot foil plate. Other companies, you have to pay for them separately. All right. Let me foil this one. Now, we're doing that same hot foil plate. We're still using a high heat foil. And we're using the same Nina Solar White, but what we've done this time is added 1 shim. Start 1 shim at a time. Just using, start with like a 60-pound, 85-pound, 100-pound shim, and write down on your notes on that particular die what you used, okay? Because every die is different. Foils are sometimes different, but usually every die is different. And I'm running it through twice. And you want to take your time when you run this through. And the next tip is to let it cool down before you reveal it. Sorry guys, excuse me. I would be really annoyed if I was watching this video and somebody was coughing in the background. Alright, so you want to let this cool down because that foil has to have time to adhere to the design. And if you don't let it cool down, you might dislodge some of that foil. I'm going to change this out. Use my little hot foil. I want to show you guys how to foil a die because I get asked that a lot. So this is a cutting die. Again, here is Waffle Flower, which makes beautiful hot foil plates. Okay, so their hot foil plate, again, is flat and it's gold. This is their die. It's silver and it's popped up. So, how do you hot foil a die? Remember, a die will only hot foil on the edges there. Now, Yes, I can turn this over and try to hot foil this. Here's what's going to happen though. The words will not foil and the little pokey holes for the die will not foil, and you risk this cutting into your silicone mat. So I don't ever recommend trying to do that, okay? Try to just use this part, okay? We're going to put a piece of foil in there. You basically follow the same rules, but remember, it's only gonna foil the cut lines. Okay, so you can't cut this out after you foil it. I'll show you why here. So we have the cutting side up, we have our foil in there, we're gonna put our paper in there, and I'm gonna stick with my shim and put that back on. Okay, let's see what this looks like now. So with one shim, this foiled perfectly. So using the Gemini foil, I knew that was going to transfer right away. I honestly thought it was going to overfoil, but because I didn't use a shim, it didn't. Using the regular foil without a shim, I got some underfoiling, which is generally the case for me with this machine. And adding a shim, I got pretty perfect foiling. As I know with this machine, I sometimes need 1 to 2 shims. Okay, now we're going to show you what the foil die looks like. And then I want to show you guys what overfoiling looks like. Underfoiling means you don't have enough heat or you don't have enough pressure. A lot of times you can solve that by adding a shim. Okay, overfoiling happens when you have too much heat, too much pressure, or you're using a coated surface where all of that foil wants to stick. That usually happens if you're using a glossy cardstock, some kind of sticker paper, some kind of cardstock where that foil just wants to stick to the whole thing. So you have to experiment on your paper types. All right, we're ready to go. Nice and slow. You don't want jumping around or it'll cause shifting of your hot foil plate. We do have a discount code, craftycritta.com. They come from Australia. They have amazing foils and papers. The code is FSC05. If you're not a member of Foiling Snobs Club, join us on Facebook, but you get a discount FSC05. Anything you order from Crafty Critta is 5% off. All right, so I'm going to put that new, these are the Simon Hurley Spellbinders Holiday Sentiments. Pretty side, touching the plate. Now I'm going to change my paper, and I'm going to use a thicker paper here. I'm going to see if I can get this to overfoil. And I'm going to use 2 shims because I want you to see what overfoiling looks like. Okay, give that a second to warm up. So this is what it looks like when you foil a die, a cutting die. It's beautiful, it looks fine, but remember, if I go to my die cutting machine and I line this up and I cut it out, where is it going to cut? It's going to cut right on the line. So hot foiling your dies is a nice use of your dies, but don't try to cut them out because it'll cut out on the line. And I'm going to demonstrate this because someone's going to ask. So I have it right on the hot foil line as best as I can line it up. Okay, now you've lost all that hot foiling. Everything you foiled just got cut off. There's some still left on there, but if you're going to hot foil your dies, try to think of cover plates. Those are the best ones because they make cool backgrounds and you don't have to worry about cutting them, right? I mean, that would have been a cool background the way that it was. So yes, you can hot foil with dies, just don't cut them out afterwards would be my advice. Okay, let's see how we're doing here on these sentiments. I'm trying to demonstrate hot foiling here. So I'm using a thick paper and I'm using 2 shims. So we've probably got too much going on here. So this should overfoil. In other words, we should get foil everywhere. Of course, it didn't overfoil for me. Okay, so normally this would overfoil. And overfoiling would be that you have foil in the creases, foil everywhere. This actually worked out okay, so I can't complain. All right, let me show you guys how to foil the waste foil. So there's a couple ways you can foil the waste foil. Each of these machines sells their own metal plate. So this is the one you can get with the Go Pressin foil. It's a very large, heavy metal plate. It's designed to cut dies. And then there are metal plates like this from Pink Fresh Studio or Waffle Flower. They work great. So all you're going to do is put that solid plate on there. You're going to put your foil down. Again, pretty side down. And you're going to put your cardstock on there. And I am going to use, this is the Crafty Critter foiling paper because it's super smooth. Actually, I probably can show underfoiling here. I hate to waste this. So this one is the Crafty Critter 250 GSM DIY toner paper. So this is the smooth one we're going to use on this sample. Now, this plate is solid metal, so it takes a while to heat up. And you want to use as many shims as you have. You want to over shim this because we're trying to foil the waste. So we want everything to transfer over. So I'm actually going to use 3 shims on this one. We want that to get really hot and we want it to have all the pressure. So we're going to give that a moment. While that's heating up, we can cut these out. They come with the matching dies. Thank you, Spellbinders. And if you guys are interested in any of these products, I have affiliate links down below. They don't cost you anything extra. It helps to support me and my channel. so that I know you're interested in these products and me making videos with them. Now I have these sentiments ready to go, perfectly foiled. Okay, let's see if our waste foil is ready. Now, right off the bat, I can tell there's definitely more resistance. Now, you don't want to resist so much that you break your machine. You just want enough that all of that excess foil sticks. And this one I'm going to use some thicker 110-pound cardstock. My 3 shims. Whenever you're doing waste foil, you want a very smooth paper for waste foil. Waste foil, it does matter, your paper. But also you want a lot of pressure and you want a lot of heat. So let's see how this did. Nope. See, that's underfoiled. See that? Probably could have left it on a little longer. Yep, it underfoiled. Underfoiled. Now, you can line this back up because I didn't fully remove it and try to foil it again. That doesn't work in toner foiling, but I could try to do this again and maybe run it through the heat cycle twice and try to do that. We'll see how this background one does. Hopefully I've answered some of your questions on basic hot foiling. The secret is, again, to make sure you're using the right foil, but the biggest secret is learn your machines. I know how to use my foil press inside and out with my eyes closed. I'm pretty good with the Glimmer machine. The Go Press and Foil and I don't always get along, but of course today when I'm making this video, you know, she wants to be the star of the show. But the more you use your machine, the more you practice with it, the more you experiment with it, the more you'll figure out what works and what doesn't work. And if you need help, join us at Foiling Snobs Club on Facebook. Post a picture, what you used. I need to know what kind of paper you used, what foil you used, what machine you used, what setting you used, and what country you live in, because that matters. I know a lot of the things I show you are in the U.S. We have other suppliers like Blue Bonnet and Crafty Critta, which ship all over the world. And so, you know, we try to find for you guys different things that'll work. Okay, let's see how this works. Whoop. And I reuse these shims until they just get really yucky and they don't work anymore, and then I get rid of them. All right, let's see if we got, and a lot of times you can pull the corner up and see if it foiled okay. And it looks like we have a successful transfer. So that is using the waste foil. So we have the original. And then here's the waste foil. And then I have my sentiments, so I can throw them on and make a really quick card. Just throw an ornament or something on there and we're done. So hopefully you guys had fun learning something new on how to do your hot foiling. If you have specific questions, you can always email me at foilingsnobsclub@gmail.com. Check out the other videos I have. Again, if you want tips and tricks on toner foiling, I already did a toner foiling video. If you learned something new, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for other videos. I'm going to see if I can redo this. It may or may not work. Okay, we're going to do 3 shims on that. So now I have 4 pretty good backgrounds. Now this one, I will cover this up with some ornaments. But I got 4 pretty good backgrounds. I got 5 sentiments. Hey, I'll be able to slap together some really easy Christmas cards now. And don't forget you can ink blend over your foiling. Yes, you can. A lot of people ask me that. You can. If you don't like the color, again, you can use colored paper too. You don't have to use white paper. You can use any color paper. But let's say I want to ink blend this. Let's do this one. But you're not restricted with hot foiling on your paper like you are with toner foiling. Hot foiling will stick to anything. Remember, there's an adhesive built into that foil, but you just might need to add extra heat or extra pressure. And you just give that ink a second to soak in. And then you have your ink blended background. Of course, you could go in and add more ink too, but that doesn't cover up the beauty of that foil. All right, let's see if our sentiments will foil this time. We got 3 shims. Now on the Glimmer machine, I have other videos to show you how I tape my plates together because this machine already has a hinge, which is nice. The Glimmer machine doesn't. So I show you how to tape the plates together so you have this hinge. Ew, my foil wrinkled there. I don't know if it's going to work. Hey, it worked. Yep, all that extra foil came off. So now I can take the die and I can cut these out. And there they are. Reverse foiled sentiments. Pretty. Okay, guys, I think I've been on long enough. Thanks for hanging out with me. And again, I hope you learned something, and please consider subscribing. Bye, guys.